Hello and welcome to a very quick look at a spreadsheet that I've been looking to create. I'm just looking to get some feedback on where I should kind of continue to go with it. Just to let you know, there has been quite a lot of stuff that I've put into this that has been with the help of the GDP Illuminate document, which I'll quickly show you now. So a lot of the resources with regards to resource deposits and planet statistics have all come from this. So a massive thank you to GDP for giving me access to the hidden sheets on those. I think you can access it anyway, but I asked permission anyway, just to be sure. So the basic idea behind what I've been trying to do is to create a basically a base designer that can be used to plan in advance what a base can basically contain, and the requirements for it, and also population requirements, the production values from each day, the stuff that you're going to need all in all to make sure that a base is going to be viable. So a couple of things that at the moment I haven't managed to implement, just to get those out of the way in advance. There isn't actually any pricing information for scientist consumables. Experts and soil fertility have not been put into this version yet, but I will be adding them in a future version. The natural resource buildings, you have to unfortunately scroll through a list of blanks to find the ones that are actually existing on your planet. Cores, habs and storage obviously don't have a recipe. Just a note to not type anywhere if you do decide to check this out. And that orange input fields input the only places where you actually need to put anything in. At the moment, it's currency ignorant as well. The currency at the moment is all over the place, and so at the moment the sheet just assumes that all currencies are one-to-one. Obviously, if you do decide to use that, just make sure that sort of the purchase currency that you use isn't weak against where you're intending to sell or buy. So that's a couple of provisos to add in. Just a note that I need to put on here. I'm planning on adding the requirements for building, a full list of the requirements to build the base that you've chosen. That will be coming probably within the next week. So let me run you through how this works first and foremost. So this is a full price list of all of the current buy and sell values on the community exchanges. It doesn't include local market databases. They're not reliable, and to be honest, a lot of them are just trolls at 1cc, 1ncc. I've seen quite a lot on a lot of the exchanges. But what this does is it gives a upper buy order and a lower sell order. A high sell and a low buy order. And then it filters through the lowest price that you can buy at and the highest price that you can sell at. It also just gives me a quick estimate of the profit and loss that you could potentially get from buying and selling each one. So if we move on then, so this price list feeds in to some of these data lists here. What that allows me to do is that allows me to functionally just so for example with fuel planning, it takes the STL and FTL cost based on the current market value. It also feeds into this sheet, which is a pricing comparison. So what this does is it gives you the buy and sell price and pulls that through from the price list. Nothing particularly special there. But what it also does is it gives you a selling from to checklist. So these are all of the routes that you can travel from Montum to Prometer, and it shows you the potential profit that you could make from each trade. So for example, if you were on, let's just check, so if you were on Montum and you were planning to travel to Prometer, it shows you the profit that you will make from each individual item. As you can see, there's not many profits there at the moment. This one here, so reinforced glass, you would make 10 per unit. So, just to summarise those into a nice little quick view guide, you have Montum to Prometer. At the moment, the best route that you can take is iron with a profit of 75 per item. And you can see that that has come because you can buy iron. Let's just go down to it. Okay, so you can buy iron on Montum for 349, and you can then sell it on Prometer for 425. You could also do the same with iron and actually sell it to Katoa and actually make a lot more profit by the looks of it. Let's just have a look. Okay, so the reason that that's been overtaken is because LSE is apparently the best deal. Montum to Katoa, but if you do want to have a look through and see what the best sell price is, you can just highlight copper, for instance, and you can quite quickly see that the cheapest place to buy it would be Montum and the best place to sell it would be Prometer. Oh no, sorry, that's buy order, so there isn't actually any buy orders for copper at the moment. That was a bad example. Let's just have a quick look. So if you've got a resource, there we go, that's a good idea. So exoskeleton worksuit, you can see the cheapest place to buy it is currently Montum because it's on the far left. So that's Montum buy, and to sell it would be Katoa because it's in the final column. We'll actually put, since it's such a long list, just very quickly pop a freeze pane on that so that we can get those in. Lovely. Okay, so LSE was showing up as a huge potential profit by going from Montum to Katoa and Prometer to Katoa. Obviously, the one problem with that would be that if you were to do that route, you would need to check the stocks, and obviously you were taking the risk of buying it and somebody else selling at that stock beforehand. So what I would advise is whenever you take something from this Excel spreadsheet, at the moment you can see the prices are up to date as of yesterday, and I will show you how I update that shortly. But what I would always advise you to do is to go into the markets and just confirm whatever you get from this spreadsheet, because it makes sure that you've got reliable information. So you can see they're basic structural elements. Let's just expand this a little bit so that we get it at the same size. Where are we? About there. There we go. Right, so you can see there that basic structural elements, there is a clear difference there, and lots of profit to be made. And obviously you then just have to make sure that, oh sorry, it was LSE, wasn't it? LSE, there we go. There we go, LSE. So yeah, you can see there's a clear difference there. And there we go. So what I would probably be tempted to do is just open up the order book for each one. And just confirm the amount of supply and demand on them, and make sure that those prices will still be profitable. Let's just look at that there. Okay, so you can see there we've got requests and sells. It was LSE, wasn't it? Right, okay, so that's obviously out of date. So somebody's obviously bought those since yesterday. So that's fine. Anyway, we're getting away from the point of why this spreadsheet was made. So anyway, the pricing comparison can be useful, but obviously there's other ways of doing that, and there's other way of comparing prices. Most of them can be done inside here, and it's usually better to do it inside here because you get sort of bang up to date. However, so the main reason that I made this is if I pop in some basic. A basic base, so let's just have a little starter base with 300 pioneers. We'll get a couple of collectors in, We'll just have one collector, get a couple of extractors in. A rig for the water, then we'll have a farmstead to get some carbon producing. We won't need a food processor on Monton because the fertility, the water levels aren't high enough to support farming really. Incinerator. What else would we might need here? So we'll do a couple of should we just do the one prefab? Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so these top 4 obviously won't have any recipes, but what we can do is you can see here, if you scroll down, it automatically filters out the correct resources for the planet. So you can see we've got O atmospheric, so oxygen atmospheric is the only potential thing that a collector can get, and you can see here the list only allows you to select select O for oxygen, sorry. Okay, so the 2 extractors will be running iron ore and limestone. Rig will obviously be collecting water. Farmstead will probably make, I think grain is probably the best to use for carbon on Monton. Grain equals carbon. And we'll use Fe and LST to make BSC. That just means we need a smelter to convert. There we are, smelter. So that's a really nice basic base. And we can see here now, so we've got all of our recipes in, and all we have to do is go up to this product box and press Alt F5, and we have our estimated sales per day. So that would be the sales of the BSE in majority anyway. And you can see here that the things that we're not actually producing. There we go. That just needs to be scroll down. Sorry, this was the last thing I implemented, so it's not quite done yet. There we go. Okay, so you can see the things that we would need to buy per day is actually some extra H2O. And some flux just to keep this running. So you can see we're producing the FeO, so the iron ore, the carbon, and the oxygen ourselves. The only thing that we're not producing ourselves is the flux, and it's highlighted that we will need 1.6 units per day of that just to keep the smeltery running. So you can see there that the other thing that we're missing is we're currently only producing 7.7 units of H2O and we're consuming 10.6. So if we were to add in another rig and make that so it uses water as well, and again we just need to Alt F5 on this, and you can see there now that all of these are now positive. It shows us what we can sell the positive units for and the market cost per day still of that flux. Now that market cost is based on the cheapest price that you can buy it for, but it is a guaranteed buy order. So 100% there is currently an existing buy order for that product. That's assuming obviously that it is updated. And you can see from these live prices here that gives you your sales per day and your buy from market cost, and that feeds in to your estimated sales per day and your estimated market purchases per day. At the same time, while we're doing that, we're also calculating the amount of pioneers in pop space that we actually have available and the population that's required. So you can see there that we do need to add in 2 more pioneer habitations before the population is correct. The consumables here will calculate based on the required population to manage that base, and you can see there that it will take 3,133 money units generically of consumables per day. So the total profit of the base will be this minus that. So I should actually probably put a field in for that. That would make sense. And that is going to be the sales per day minus the market purchases, minus the consumables. So there we have net. In fact, actually, I'll just copy that down and do formatting only. There we go. Okay, so there we have profit per day of this base. Now, obviously, the more things that you produce yourself, the better it's going to be, but so this is a nice solid base that only requires the purchase of flux to keep it running. So moving on to how we can keep this updated. So to filter the information through, I'm not running any kind of script over this. I'm doing this all via copy and paste because I think that's in the spirit of what is kind of what the developers are hoping that we are going to do. So you can see here I have a page here which is my Excel copy for Prometer, and all I do is I've got a window for each individual resource, and I copy from this trade box at the bottom up to operator, and to update it I select Prometer, right click and paste, and you can see there that updates. So I'm just going to copy across the other two. So this page contains the Montum Commodity Exchange and the Katoa Exchange. If you do decide to imitate this, just give it enough time so that all of these loadings have gone. Usually the bottom one is the last to load. For some reason it seems to work right to left, and it goes down through these and then down through those. So once that bottom one fills in and this bottom one is filled in, you can be pretty certain that all of the prices are in. I've done it, run through it a few times, and I've never had a price that hasn't matched up. So I've just copied Katoa there. So if we go onto the Katoa price list and paste it there, and then do the same for this one. Something to be careful of if you do recreate this exactly is to make sure you only go up to operator and that CXOS is not highlighted, because that throws everything down a line if you do. Okay, so we've got our Montum data. There we go. Okay, so now with 3 simple copies and pastes, so this pivot table here contains all of the information, and you can see here we're currently making 5,200 per day from BSC sales and everything else, and the buy from market is 144.15. Now there's a very good chance that the price of flux and the price of BSC have both changed. So if we do an Alt F5 now, they haven't changed. Of course they haven't, just to be really frustrating, but you can see that some of these have actually updated, and you can see here that the profit per day has actually slightly increased. The consumables cost has actually gone down quite significantly as well. So the consumables are automatically priced up, and you can see here that it calculates the cost per pioneer per day, and then that is just multiplied by the amount of pioneers that you hold. At the moment it's feeding from the 100% efficiency, and at some point I'm going to put in a little tick box that switches between 100% efficiency and essential only, so that you can decide whether or not you want to use caffeinated infusion or padded work overalls, for example, for pioneers. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to implement that yet. I have got all of the calculations in place so that I can do the essential only prices, but I have tried to implement that, and that has caused me some real problems with VLOOKUP. So, but that there is just pulling all of that data through. I might actually just do a separate consumables cost per day for the non-essentials. Actually, that's probably the easiest way, and then just have a tick box that selects one or the other, and that will be what's taken off that final profit per day. So on my list of things to do so far, will be obviously to add in the building requirements as stated. There's a few recipes that I still haven't finished off, those really annoying last few electronics ones which have got massive requirements. Talking about you, Appliances Factory, you're a right nightmare. But once all of those recipes are in, I'll be happy to release this. But what I want to know is what else you would like to see in this. Obviously, the things that are in these notes here, I'm aware of that are missing and that need to be added in. But yeah, so I'm going to be upgrading the user interface here and just making it look a lot prettier rather than this bland, horrible grey. But is there anything else that anyone would like to see? If you do want to see it, you can message me in game. My tag is Phoenix1987. I'm looking to make improvements to this and work through it. And yeah, so that's everything so far. You can see here this is all functioning. So as soon as all of the recipes are finished, there's I think the last few that haven't been done. Yeah, it's this Appliances Factory that hasn't been done as yet. So I've got all of the actual recipes in, but unfortunately the quantities don't quite work. So you can see there it doesn't update at all. But once those are in, it should be ready for me to pass over for people to start playing around with. But based off of this, is there anything that anyone would like to see added in? If you can let me know in game, I'll be happy to consider it and see if I can get it added into the planner. And yeah, I think that covers everything. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message and let me know. Thank you very much.